When you have lost everything, keep your faith. This is the most important thing that you can hold on to. It will save your life. It will bring you joy. It will give you peace. It will give you strength to keep moving forward. As Christian men, we are called to surrender our lives to Jesus. To surrender to Jesus means to give in, not to give up. We are called to use our strengths, abilities, and opportunities to grow and prosper. We are called to strengthen ourselves, our families, and our communities. We are called to be disciplined, courageous, and honorable. This is Surrendered Strength. Men, welcome back to another episode of the Surrendered Strength podcast. I'm your host, Alan Lansing. Glad to have you back. I hope you guys enjoyed last week's episode with John Stuart Hill. This week, I want to share with you just kind of how my last week went and just what God has been showing me and teaching me over the past week, but also for ever since I surrendered, ever since I gave my life to him. He's been trying to teach this, and I'm finally slowly starting to get it. So before we dive in, as usual, I want to encourage you to like, subscribe, share. If you feel like there's somebody that, hey, this is going to benefit, they're gonna get something from this, or this is the message they need to hear, please share it with them. We need everyone to just spread the gospel and lean in on each other, to build up each other, to guide each other. And if you can share, that's just going to help somebody else out, and we're going to get the word out, and we're going to continue to grow a brotherhood of Christian men who want to live in a way that honors and glorifies God. So again, like, subscribe, share, and leave a review. I appreciate it. Without you, I'm just here talking to myself. So thank you. All right. So let's dive in. So last week, I had the opportunity to go to a train the trainer training. It's kind of a tongue twister, but I was, or back in September, I took a course, a Mind Strong Resiliency Program course that was absolutely fantastic. It was geared towards law enforcement, but it really, as I learned this past week, like, this is stuff that I wish I had back when I was in college, back when I was in high school, because there's things that I was actually applying back then, but I didn't know it and I didn't realize it. And had I known what I was actually doing and how I was actually using the tools that this program teaches, I would have been that much farther ahead. So, um, back when I was in college, I started having suicidal ideations, and this is new. This was new to me, and honestly, I didn't even really think about it because I didn't even know what that was. Back I was 15, 15 plus years ago now, almost. Shoot, it's been a long time since I've been in college, but I lived under a rock and I didn't really understand suicidal ideations, didn't know why I was having them other than, hey, I have the stress that's in my life. And back then for me, it was financial. And I remember, driving back to college and thinking, how am I going to pay these loans? How am I going to pay these loans? And it would be easier if I didn't have to worry about paying them. It would be easier if I just wasn't here anymore. And driving and thinking, how I wonder how fast I would have to be going to just end it if I drove into one of those telephone poles. And thankfully, I never attempted it, never really, it was just a thought. It was just a thought, and the thought passed. But, you know, with that being said, I've had a buddy that has committed suicide. I've had another buddy that attempted the same method that I was just talking about that I thought about doing. He attempted that same method. Thankfully, it didn't work out, and God kept him on this earth so he can continue to learn and grow and to hopefully hopefully be saved and be be healed. But so I had these ideations, and again, I didn't even know what was going on. But as I was going through this class last week, I shared this for the first time. This is actually the second time that I've ever shared that story, and I shared that story for the first time. And as I was going through the class, I realized that some of the things that the class is teaching, that's the only way I got through those those times, the stress and the challenges. And what it boiled down to is the values and the purpose that I had on my heart at that time. And there, I don't know what it was, but I knew that God was calling me to something bigger, something more. And I knew that in the end it was all going to be okay. And this was even before I even surrendered to Christ. So there was a purpose and values that I grew up with, and I don't have much to say positive about the Catholic Church, but that's one thing I at least knew about the Bible. I knew about Jesus, so that's a positive from growing up in a Catholic church. But I didn't actually know Jesus at that time, and this is the only reason probably that I didn't attempt to drive my car into an electrical pole and you know take my suicidal ideations and go further with them. And this all comes down and boils down to, yes, purpose, yes, my values, but it all boils down to faith and what we have our faith set in. And again, like some part of me, for some reason, and this is a God thing for sure. Like some part of me knew that God was real, that God was bigger than everything. So there was just some strand of faith that I was holding on to back when I was in college. And that kept me from doing some things that I knew I shouldn't do. But then at the same time, I was also doing other things that I knew I shouldn't do, but they weren't also killing. They weren't killing me necessarily quickly. If I would have continued down that path, that would have been a slow poison, which I've talked about before. I'm not going to go into it today. But there was something inside of me. There was some sliver, some hope of faith that kept me from taking those idolations any further. And as I considered all of this last week and really started to consider a lot of other things that I've been struggling with, the only thing that has kept me here is is faith, is my faith in something bigger. And now I know it's Jesus, and that I can truly surrender, put my faith in him. But I didn't always know that. And if we look at the Gospels, Like Jesus, over and over. I've been reading Mark specifically the past couple weeks, and in that, there's so many times that it just stands out to me. Every time I read it, Jesus says, "Your faith has saved you. Because of your faith, you are healed. Faith has made you." And he's just telling all these people that it's because of your faith. Yes, I'm the one doing it, but it's because of your faith that you're now healed. It's because of your faith that you're saved. And it's because of my faith, again, that I'm here. So we need to remember that when we have nothing else, when we lose everything, we have to continue to hold on to our faith. You know, when we look at the book of Job, and I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before, but I read this a few months ago, and I actually read the last chapter first. I knew that Job had everything restored, more than what he had in the beginning. So I read that to just keep that in my mind. So I read the last chapter of Job, and then I went back to the beginning and started reading, from the beginning to the end, and read that last chapter again. And the only thing that Job had left was his faith. That was the only thing he was holding on to. And this is exactly how we need to live, because A, this world is going to try and kill, destroy, and steal everything that we have. And B, we shouldn't be holding on to this world. We shouldn't be allowing this world to control us. We should be surrendering, letting go of everything in this world. It even talks about in the Gospels that we have to put our faith above everything: our spouses, our kids, our parents, our work, everything. Now, when we do that, it in turns, or it comes back into to looking like love for our spouse, love for our children, love for our parents, love for our work, love for our neighbors. So when you are struggling, and maybe you're not having suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideations, but maybe you are, because I know that there's more people out there having these thoughts. No. And if this is you, I want you to know that it's okay. You're not broken. You're not you're not weird. You're not anything other than human. You're not anything other than loved by God. And because you're loved by God, you're having these thoughts. Because Satan is trying to kill you, literally, destroy you, and steal the life that God offers you. So, men, I just want to encourage you, and want you to understand that you can lose everything. And it's too often that I've heard people, men specifically, they get served divorce papers, or they get themselves in some money trouble, and they they choose suicide. They choose to end it. They choose to run and hide, because they simply believe the lie. They simply believe the lie that they weren't good enough. They didn't have what it takes, that there was no hope, that they had nothing to hold on to, and everything was lost. And again, that's a lie. So when you lose everything, man, you need to remember you have to hold on to your faith. Because again, this is the only reason that I'm still here today, is because of this faith that God gave me. And he's given that to you also. There, you've been made with a purpose. You're not here randomly. You have a purpose. So what is that purpose? Why are you here? Answer that question. Answer, how did you get here? Why are you here? And where are you going? Figure that out before anything else. Because if you can answer those questions, you're going to start to understand your purpose. You're going to start to understand your value. You're going to know your identity. And when you can answer those questions, when you know those things, life is so much better, because you're starting to understand that there is no coincidences. You are not a coincidence. You have purpose, you have value, you have an identity. You will know who you are. And when you know who you are, you will have peace. And this is what we all want. We all want peace that surpasses all understanding. So, men, when you have nothing else, keep your faith. And again, I get it. There's challenging times. I myself have been in the past 8 years of my life have been the most challenging of my life. What happened 8 years ago? I got married. And this isn't to say anything bad about my wife, because God has been using my wife to teach me, to show me that I need to learn to surrender. I need to learn to put my faith and trust in him above everything else. So the fact that you're going through a struggle is actually a positive. The fact that you have challenges in your life is actually a positive. That means God's calling you. He's calling you back to him. He's calling you into something more, into something better. And that's life with him. If you are living in comfort and you don't have any challenges, and you don't find yourself, feeling some heat or some struggle, that's actually probably a scary place. You should be worried then, because that means you are not following God, because Satan again wants nothing more than to kill, steal, and destroy. And if you got just comfort and you're not feeling any heat, then you've already lost. You've already had your life stolen. So men, again, I'm going to end it because I keep rambling and keep going on and on. When you have lost everything, keep your faith. This is the most important thing that you can hold on to. It will save your life. It will bring you joy. It will give you peace. It will give you strength to keep moving forward. So with that, God bless. I love you, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. Connect with me on Instagram and Facebook at Surrendered Strength. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share, and live the Surrendered Strength Code: discipline, courage, honor.